Welcome back to the GGDA live stream with Eric from the Experimental Video Game Showcase and Super M, our new co-host on the show. Very excited about what Eric has going on. So we've played all kinds of different games, and it's been exciting over the past number of years that a lot of folks have been using games to focus not just on the excitement and fun that we can have with them, but actually a better life experience, better quality of life, and so forth. And people have experimented with a lot of different types of games. They can take you to a whole lot of different places. One of the most famous ones is Journey, takes you on its own journey. Great game. These are a different level of experimental games, and really excited to hear about these. So, Eric, what can you tell us about the event you have coming up in November?
Okay, yeah. So the event on November 1st is kind of like a collection of various different games that kind of try to push the boundary of what we normally think of as a game, and a lot of these, they come from all around the world. Couple in like France, like Germany.
Nice.
We got one in Australia, two in Canada, one from the U.S., and they're all hello microphone. Sorry.
We got Poltergeist here, but different kind of game.
It's good stuff. But yeah, like each game has their own kind of take on what they do differently as a game, and they do beg the question of like, what do we want like as a game? What do we look for in games, and how can we being like the developers give you something that will kind of benefit you more than like the developers themselves. So it's kind of like a little gift to us, so to speak.
So we're gonna go to your basement and play some video games. Is that the idea?
It's not my basement. I kind of wish it was there, but it's actually even better. It's over at the bakery in downtown Atlanta, and it's like a DIY venue, art gallery, very large area, and it's honestly, in my opinion, one of the perfect places to hold an event like this. Nice. It's a big old artistic community. Lots of people are going to come out there, like not just from the video game kind of collective, but we're also going to try and get a bunch of people from like the sculpture and like the painters and all of that, and just kind of have like one good night to just bring everyone together and enjoy these experiences.
Cool. Excellent. So give us a date and time.
Yeah, it's November 1st. That's a Thursday. The gallery is going to open at 6 o'clock and will close at 11. And these are p.m., not a.m. No artist is up at 6 a.m.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So what do you mean by an experimental game?
So, good question. Experimental game. So, backpedaling. This was before I decided to coin experimental for this event. Just kind of like the word experimental kind of means like, you know, testing phase. You're in, you know, like you're not really sure like what you're doing. You're just kind of like trying things out and seeing what happens. So naturally, I was like, I don't know if I want to like call this an experimental game, because these people have worked so hard and like they know their style, they know what they want to do, and they've refined it to a place that they're ready to like, you know, ship a game and ship a title with those styles. But I was reading some literature by a composer, John Cage, and he like talks about experimental music and all that, because like other people kind of like put him in that box of like, oh, that's experimental music. But he said that it's not about the person who's making it, but it's about the person who's receiving it. So whenever you're confronted by something that you've never experienced before, it's kind of like experimental to you, and that's has resonated throughout the years in all sorts of different mediums, whether it's like music. You know, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I really like experimental music, but what does that really mean? And what it means is, to a listener or to an audience member, someone from the outside looking in, is like, this is new. This is something that I've never been confronted with before, and that's like the feeling I'm trying to present to all the audience members for this. So by experimental game, I'm trying to make it as a space so anyone coming in will take a look at these experiences and say like, wow, I've never seen anything like this. This is totally new to me. So yeah, that's my little term of like experiment.
Nice. So I play a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
I love games, and
Me too.
mainstream games kind of fall into this kind of lull for me where I expect things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's always
Yeah,
iterative. I'm just like, all right, the same gameplay mechanics, the same kind of systems, and I'm kind of used to them. So what kind of experiences can somebody expect? Just give us an example of an experimental game. So some people out there may think, well, is it going to be off the walls? Am I going to understand it? Like, so kind of give us an example.
Yeah, so just gonna go off of the like, am I going to, am I gonna like see something that's off the walls? Like, am I going to expect certain things? The answer would be yes. A lot of these games are kind of like abstracted, so they really mean whatever you want them to mean.
Oh.
So it's kind of like what's like a good analogy? It's kind of like they don't really give you a purpose. They just give you a space and a tool. And then it's your job to like go explore, which is kind of like the whole theme of this specific show, which is exploration. We're giving you like a clean slate. You go in and you just say, okay, I have no idea what this is. Let's go explore and see what's going on. And then there's a lot of different games that utilize like a very simple mechanic, and that's their main feature. So it's kind of like, like in AAA games, they'll have like, oh, here's a full game and then like a cool mechanic. This focuses more on like, hey, that one cool mechanic, let's focus in on that, so that way you're not distracted by anything else that's going on. You're just analyzing and just hyper focused on this one thing.
So before we get into the games, one of the digs about experimental music is the joke that the experiment is whether or not it's even music. Like, is 18 and a half minutes of silence actually music, as someone would like us to think?
Yeah.
Is that the case here? I mean, are these solid games with what we would think of as a game? Yes, the definition of a game is as broad as the definition of art itself.
Yeah, and like to go off of that, something that I used to do in certain games, like you ever played like GTA or like those kind of games. Sometimes I would exhaust a game so much that I would look for different meaning.
Ways to experience.
Yeah,
Yes,
different meanings
yes.
to it, to the point where I would play GTA and say, all right, I'm in a car. Let's sit through traffic. Like I'm gonna.
That is the favorite game. Yes.
I'm gonna stop at this red light, and I'm gonna obey the law, and I'm just gonna like drive forward, and just like you take a game that has a pre-existing purpose to it, or like a quote unquote purpose, and then you kind of make one on your own, and that opens up a whole new just experience for you. So that's kind of like the cornerstone of what I'm about to get into. Just defining a game's purpose, and these games they don't really define an actual specific purpose. Like some do have little goals just to progress a player, but at its core, it's all about just experiencing it the way you want to experience.
So GTA I-285 is one of the games that we're doing here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Traffic,
It's
100 hours of crunch just sitting in traffic.
Yeah,
That's the favorite game of Atlanta. Yeah.
I play it twice a day.
All right, why don't you show us one of the games that we're talking about? What are
Okay,
you going to
yeah.
be demoing here?
Yeah, sure. So one of the games I wanted to showcase is a very simple game. We have this game called the Catacombs of Solaris.
Oh, wow.
It's a game by MacLarty. This is a Australian-based developer, and as you can see, it's all sort of crazy noise.
Oh, that's
and
not your screensaver.
Nope, that is not a screensaver. But it is a nice. I get the same kind of nostalgic feeling whenever I see something like this. So what it is, before I start diving into it, it's an abstract 3D maze of kind of like illusions, and this is made entirely in a custom game engine. It's a Lua-based game engine. So the purpose of this is
Whoa.
to navigate the area. And so what happens is anything that you look at can become the walls. So let's say I'm like, okay, look at this.
What does 3D actually mean?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then, you stop. Oh, so that turned into that.
My mind does not know what it's looking at right now.
Yeah,
This
and
is trippy.
yeah, this is like part of the purpose of the game is to just kind of keep exploring and like get lost.
Boy, I
And
wish you had the Skittles license.
Man, would that be great?
Yeah,
Wow.
and then you can like let's say just like keep going. I'm just gonna keep walking, and just see where this takes me.
His collision detection's a little off.
I feel like after a long day of work, I could just come home and play this game to some nice music and just do this for a good 3 hours. Because my mind right now is trying to figure out, a lot of it seems like repeating optical illusions. I keep thinking that there's a wall or a hallway, and the minute you stop, it completely makes something else. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, whenever I was first researching a lot of these games, I found this one, and I was just sitting in my living room and just completely encapsulated by this. I played it for like 10 minutes. Oh, and for people in the chat, this game does not have audio. This one is this one's just kind of a simple exploration.
So it amazes me that an audio engineer would actually choose this one because it screams out for that soundtrack.
Yeah, I know. But not everything needs audio.
Oh, we turn it off after the first 5 minutes anyway.
yeah.
No, you don't. You never do that. whenever it's good, it'll suck you in. But yeah, this would be a great game to be like, I'm gonna listen to some really nice, calming, relaxing music, and just kind of just explore. You can obviously play with the colors in this game. So like, as we've already figured out, oh wow, that changed real quickly.
changed.
Yeah, you understand that whatever you're looking at will become your new walls. So let's say I look at this, and then, wow, look at that. Yeah, so it's a lot like a toy, honestly, and it's just absolute fun. Like I recommend this and any of Ian MacLarty's games. They all have a similar kind of style like this.
I want to be inside this game.
Oh yeah, me
Anybody-
too.
I really want to be inside it. I just want to taste the rainbow a little bit.
Yeah.
So I do expect someone to be yelling, "We've gone to plaid!"
Oh, if there was a plaid room, I think I would not be
you
happy
make
with
one.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I need
yeah.
like a flannel room, really. Yeah.
With the Nirvana music in the background. So let's talk about audio on these games. So actually, I'm kind of surprised that one
sure.
was so quietly meditative because we're used to in games the audio being such a critical part of bringing you into the game experience.
Mm-hmm.
That one didn't include it. It's all about the experience and the visuals to draw you on in.
Yes. So I'll let me bring up another one. This one does have audio, and from my personal experience with it, I absolutely love it. I am in love with the audio of this game. This game is Entity by a developer, ARQUOIA. I might be butchering that name. ARQUOIA. Raphael will hate me for that. Anyway, they're from Germany, and this one is fantastic. I don't know if so you're getting audio right now. Just want to make sure it's not like covering up my voice. But this game is really fantastic. It's like a creative, ambiguous tool for you to like peak your creativity for honestly like hours on end. This is another game that I got completely lost in. And another little fun fact about this game, it's going to be showcased also on November 1st, the same day as my event, over in Helsinki for Google's design conference.
Well, yours is a more prestigious event anyway.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
We'll let
There.
them have their fun.
Yeah, I was talking with them, and they were talking about like they can't make it out to Helsinki for it, and they were like, oh, it's fine. We already like paid the entry fee for it. And I was like, well, you're welcome for people like me who come to you and give you donations based on the sales of the show. So I'm sure they're really thankful for all of that. So yes, this is flash screen, the little titles. And so what this game is, the tagline for it is like frames within frames. So it deals a lot with kind of like taking an image and like hyperimposing it over itself. So like if you like turn your head, you'll kind of like see it kind of like almost like tear apart into it. Submit that first game to Reddit, Trippy. Yeah, I'll message that to him. So here, let me go right in to it. So you're confronted with just a scene. There are objects inside the scene, and they do their own like animations. They go through their own like kind of AI. They do their own thing, and you're just an observer. And what happens in this is you can find certain different points, progress to a new area. It's got multiple, like it's got so many. I have no idea how many different levels there are in this game. I still haven't found them all. So
I have a question.
Oh,
so
yeah,
when we come to the show,
yes.
I feel like if you didn't explain this to me, I would just spend another hour just enjoying trying to figure out what is going on. Everything is such a nice visual treat. Do you guys let people just kind of go in blind and see what they do?
Yeah, so all I'm gonna have for the show is just a artist statement provided by the artist. Some of them give you a little more insight to kind of, give you controls and give you like, look for this, like maybe go for that. And other people are like, I'm barely telling you anything. I'm just giving you like a poetic sentence just to go in blind. Yeah. So I haven't even like turned my head around. This is just the whole game doing its thing by itself, and we have a function that is it's kind of like a blink. So it takes away most of the things that kind of cluttered it up, and I'm going to move through the space. So I'm going to check out this little character.
So he did this in Unity, or they did this in Unity?
Yes, I believe so. Okay, I'm blanking out on which engine they use. And then so another thing is that you can slow down all the objects and all the kind of like little effects and filters, and then you can use that to kind of shape what you see. And there's a lot of people who like are using this as like an artist tool and kind of using it to produce pictures, kind of like that. And it's got your standard controls, so it's got a little bit of that native video gaminess to it, and it has little different points. And to go off of what brought me into this was the audio. There's a lot of very subtle audio cues that help you progress and navigate through these different levels.
I find it very interesting that it's using WASD. So it's very much experimental in the game effect, but it is using very standard game controls to bring you along. It's not experimenting there, it's experimenting the effect on the player, not in the gameplay itself.
Yeah, and that's a thing that I really like about a lot of these games, is there's a familiarity to it, but that's the only thing that keeps you grounded, so that way you're not like, you're not frustrated, you're very familiar, like your standard gamer will know, yes, move forward, move back, strafe to left and right, and then like look around with your head. And it's the actual content itself that is the quote-unquote experimental.
So going off the exploration theme, I think, are there nice Easter eggs in this? Could I find some cool things? I'm a little afraid of what I might find, because everything kind of looks like a little gray alien.
Yeah, there's a lot of like little creepy.
And I feel like one of them is just gonna mess me up really bad.
Oh, that's that's up to you. If you're confronted by one of these beings and it scares you half to death, then that's something that you're feeling with the game.
Oh, I'm feeling it.
Only 2 of them have come out of the monitor so far.
Yes.
Oh yeah. But yeah, there are little Easter eggs that I have found in this game. Not to like spoil too much, but there was there was one scene where I was in where like I was following this just this little object. It was like I was fixated on it, and this also goes into like good design. So I was fixated on this point, and I kept walking towards it, and like while I was just being mindful and like meditative and just kind of like accepting like where this is my path, where I'm going, and then I got to it, and it was like a little wizard with a hat on. And then the second that I found out and it came into like focus, I went to the next area.
Oh.
So it was like it was curiosity and then reward. And that was at a moment when I first played this game. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm getting this. I'll just go see what this is, and then like call it an A. And then that happened, and I was in it back again for like another 40 minutes. It was just absolutely gorgeous.
So at Beanboard brings up an important question. Is there a place where he can find all these games?
Yeah, so you can find this game specifically is on Steam right now. It came out not too long ago. It actually came out while I was reaching out to them for a different game, and they're like, hey, we got this new one, Entity. A couple other ones are on itch.io. That's usually where I go to find some of these more underground kind of games, and it's a fantastic community that they have going on over there. So yeah, Steam, itch.io, a lot of these that I've been researching have been part of like game jams. So yeah, any of those. Yeah, you got them right there.
But I think the important answer is there's no one place you can find all these except the bakery on November 1st in Atlanta, starting at 6 p.m. I think actually that's the important part about this. Eric's curated a really impressive lineup of experimental games, and he has dug into the depths of itch.io, Steam, and elsewhere to dig them up. So let's talk a little bit about being the curator of these. So these aren't game devs who are coming out to you saying, please feature my game. This is you having to hunt them down and reach out to them. What's that like? These are not exactly Sony and EA with a big publicity machine you can work with.
Yeah. So it all really started at GDC. They have a whole bunch of different areas where they feature these kind of games. One is like the Mild Rumpus. They also do like the Indiecade sort of booths, and that was like my first introduction to this world. And then they were kind of the main first people that I started reaching out to when I really wanted to do this. And then that led to a deep dive into itch.io. Is it EO? Itch.io?
I always say itch.io.
It's itch.io, to me at least. And then diving into that, also Twitter is a really good resource. If you follow a bunch of game developers, you will get some win from like other developers that they follow, and then that's kind of how I also start to get like, this one dev that I really like enjoys this person's work, and then I'll go check out that person's work, and then just it's a spiral down a fun little route to go there.
So what's the response when you reach out to them? And can you reach out to most of them?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Yeah. No, a lot of them are very open to being reached out to because they're independent developers. They're always interested in people hearing about their games. They're very open to definitely praise. I've geeked out on a couple of them and be like, this is the game that you're putting on is just absolutely amazing, and like they're very humble about it, very receptive, and all of them were actually completely agreeable to this event. So thank you to all the developers that I reached out to. You all have been the best.
Excellent. All right, so let's take a look at another game.
Yeah, cool. So let's see here. Which one do I want to choose? I'm just gonna go down into. Here we go. This one is called Cosmic Forest. And this one is by a developer named Titouan Millet. He's French. And he's a pretty veteran experimental game developer. This is one of his... Oh no, seems like something's going on with that. I think I have a little problem with my computer. I'll come back to that one in a second. So, sorry, going on to another one. I'm about to open up another one. This one is the U.S. dev, COLORFICTION, based out of New York, and funny enough, from Pittsburgh, where I grew up originally. So that was always fun to find out that you had another art friend from the city that you came from. So this game is 0 North, 0 West, and
Play on the Hitchcock stuff?
not entirely sure actually.
Okay.
So let me just go straight into it. So what this game is essentially a casual kind of walking simulator through different dimensions of kind of reality.
Let's go for a ride.
Let's do it. Let's go straight in.
Oh,
So off the bat, it's already playing with you. Ooh, which one do we go into?
there are infinite universes within infinite universes.
And those infinite universes.
Not that one.
Oh no, it's too late. It's too late.
So COLORFICTION has a very distinctive style. A lot of like neon, a lot of just environment assets, and they're really out of this world, and it's quite a treat just walking through all of these things. Each level he meticulously made himself, and there are countless. This is another one that I really don't know how many levels there are. Every time I play it, I experience like something new.
How many would you say you've explored? How many worlds have you been to?
I've probably been to, giving a good estimate, probably at least 45, I think. Now, if he's watching this, you can totally, fact check me on that. But, every time I boot this game up, it's always a different world.
Never been here before.
Not that I could tell.
So I got a question. Of all the worlds that you've been through, all 45,
Huh?
which was the craziest?
Craziest.
Like you just walked in through that door and was just like, whoa.
Maybe it's gonna be this one.
Oh, I did not know you could do that. Where are we gonna end up?
Physics are real.
We'll find out.
Right. I think a
Yeah,
few
we
of
have
us
the
been
joke when you're doing level design of falling through the earth when you've done something wrong, and whatever the avatar is doing just goes and falls to the game.
Yep.
Decides no more.
Yeah, no, for this one, that's a feature. So yeah, welcome to,
We gotta name these worlds.
this is like a orb line world.
Blue spider web.
Blue spiderweb, that works too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so it's just another
So
another little area just to
Where do
kinda
you
hang
go?
out.
Are you just floating, or are we? Where go? We gotta
I
go
don't know.
somewhere.
Let's
Let's go.
Blue vein.
Oh, I did not expect it to be so spacious.
It's rather large. You can get lost in this world. I'm just gonna keep continuing this direction. I think an exit's around here. And a portal.
And a
There
portal.
we go.
Yes. So I
I'm
see-
glad he has a seizure alert
Yes.
at the beginning of this one.
Yeah, definitely a kind
Oh, that
soul.
was nice.
Oh yeah. So I've come across these TVs before. They're nice little, living room, bedroom kind of area. I wonder if this is modeled after his room. And then any TV you go up to, we got this kind of glitch art going on. It reacts to wherever you're looking.
So as we explore some of these worlds, I got another question for you. So
Yeah, totally.
As the curator of this event, really this show is just an extension of your tastes and your
Yes.
your likes. And so, what goes into I know you've reached out to tons of developers. What goes into picking the games? I noticed that there's a motif going on where all the ones we've seen so far are very meditative. I could really get lost, and it's a different experience that I'm used to playing competitive fighting games. Everything is very anxious and on edge, and one mistake will lead to my demise. Where this is just a nice. I could almost think my own thoughts while going through the game and enjoying it, and still have a good time. So, what were some of the elements that went into choosing these titles?
Yeah, so a lot of the elements have to deal with pacing, just artistic vision, the aesthetic, and what they're trying to abstract in the sense of like what a game is, whether that's using a weird quote unquote like broken shader as a feature and just kind of playing on top of that and seeing where it goes. But a lot of these games, I have to be engaged, like completely in it. And yes, these are kind of like an extension of my own personal taste. I enjoy something that like I can come to, on a late night and just say like, all right, I got like 20 minutes.
That's Eric's mind right there.
Right here. It's fairly accurate, actually. But yeah, things that I can just kind of like sit down, relax, just kind of like forget about anything that's going on, like whether it's like, having a bad day or, current political situation in the U.S. or just anything that's like on your mind. And then you just kind of go into this world that where nothing makes sense, but that's what you want to seek out. Just something that you can accept everything for as it is and just go for it and just keep doing a deep dive into whatever you have in front of you, really.
So Brian Miller had an interesting question. I'm not being that surprised, Brian. Talking about what inspired you to do this. You talk about going to GDC and seeing these games, but for most people that means then you tweet out, hey, check out this link. But you've decided to go ahead and put on a full event, which is no light effort.
Yeah, no, it isn't.
So what inspired you to actually put on this event?
Okay, no, that's actually a really good question. Because, man, I came a long way from that initial thought. So this whole event started from an event that I went to at the bakery. It was an experimental film event. It's kind of like a showcase. This woman, sorry, she put on her own curated short format experimental films, ranging from like live, like a little bit of animation, just kind of like all in the same vein. And I really loved it. And afterwards, I went up to her, and we were just kind of talking about what we do. And I was like introducing myself, like video game sound designer. We also have experimental video games out there, and she had no idea about it. So I kept talking about these things, and she just kind of like cut me off and was like, "You should do what I did." And I was like, "What? No." She's like, "Yeah, like if you have a couple games in mind, just see if they will accept you using it in a showcase for exposure, and then just put something on. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be flashy, because hers was it was definitely just like, I have a laptop, a projector, and files." And I was like, okay, perfect. Yeah, I can probably do a similar thing. And then it grew from just something really small to being, okay, I want each game to have a station, multiple computers. All right, I'm going to rent out the art gallery. Okay, we got that. I talked to a couple of my friends about it. We were thinking about maybe doing some music, and then, so we got music going on, and then it keeps going forward in this crazy momentum to a point where now I have a full-fledged event. A lot of people are interested in going to it, and I intend on doing more.
Well, talk about the attendees' experience then, because it's not just games. You have more going on. What do you expect what do you expect their journey to be?
Okay, yeah, just getting out of it. So back to
reality.
To my little exploration poster. So yeah, each individual person is essentially going to be coming into just an art gallery. It's a standard white wall podium. Just each computer is going to be its own station. It's going to have its little name placards, some artist statements, and then you're welcome to browse around. Just idly look over someone's shoulder, just kind of like take things in, and then around 9 o'clock, what we're going to be doing is we're going to start featuring experimental musicians. So I have a lot of the 4 Atlanta-based electronic musicians, and I asked all of them to put on an ambient, minimalist kind of drone set. It'd be like kind of short-ish format set, and I'm gonna keep a projector running the games, just kind of cycling through them, and then have audience members come up and play it, so that way they can interact with the musicians can interact with the games, and then we'll just kind of have a full synergistic
He used
experience.
the word.
I did.
He threw in synergy. Just had to. So Brian Miller asked, are any of these game devs from Georgia? We already know the only one from the U.S. is out of New York City. But will any of the devs be there?
I almost got the one from the U.S. to come. He is just getting out of another conference event, so he's going to be a little swamped on that end. No, they won't be there. A couple of them have expressed interest in seeing if they can get cheap plane rides from Europe over here, and I was like, oh,
That's a lot.
I was like, yeah, I would love that. That'd be amazing. But you don't have to just yet. Don't worry. But yeah, on the topic of Georgia developers, because I want to try and do this more and more often, I want to have a whole show just dedicated to local talent and local developers, and just kind of, get that whole community together for one night, and any moments leading up to it. I definitely think it's something that I really want to do.
He's going to clutter the room with Georgia devs.
You hear that?
All right, so let's see another one.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go to shift focus on to another great one. This one is called Close. It's by another German developer, Tobias Zarges, and he's one of a good friend of mine, actually. I met him 2 years ago at the GDC, and this game was up for a Nuovo Award, which is kind of like the experimental game award, essentially.
Who gives that one?
It's the IGF, the Independent Games Festival. And they do that in conjunction with the Game Developers Choice Awards.
Gotcha.
This is a great one. So what it is you're this character, and you're just in a snowy land, and there's a fox that's over here, and you can choose either to join the fox in its adventure, or you can go off on your own. And it's kind of this it's like a narrative between, like, do you follow someone and like have someone join your party, or do you go off on your own? And like the fox will either, it has AI, spoiler, to either choose to go away from you or lead you, or to follow you. So it's kind of like a two-way system on this game. And this world is like populated with various creatures that you kind of go around to. And there's my little buddy.
Well, Most Unique says it's very Genova Chen. I was just afraid it was going to turn into one big elaborate "what does the fox say" joke. I'm glad it didn't. Oh, hey, the first one with some leaping platform action.
Oh, actually, the Entity, you could jump in it. It's hard to tell, but you can jump in that one. Yeah, your character does jump. We've got this little fox character. Looks like he's a little stuck, but I'm gonna go explore just the land, see what it has to offer to me. And this one does have audio, and Tobias did the audio himself. It's very meditative. A lot of like kind of pad synths and just different textures for each area that you go into. And this is also just another one where if you just hold W and just kind of look at the aesthetic that he has going on here. It's definitely very minimalist. We'll probably go into just like a snowstorm and see where this takes us.
For real, thought that was the edge of the stage. I was like, we're gonna fall off again and go into another world.
Nope, you never know where you're gonna go.
I will say the art style is beautiful. I really like minimal art styles. It takes away from the distractions sometimes that I get with games. A lot of clutter. And this one, I kind of feel like I want to see what's on the edge of this white field right here. Just want to see if do we run into houses? Are we going to run into other characters, or is it just us and the fox?
There are other characters in this, and depending, if you choose to follow the fox or if the fox chooses to follow you, you'll encounter probably different ones.
Could someone get through this experience particularly in one sitting? So when we come to the showcase, not if, when we come to the showcase, could I sit here and just kind of find a conclusion to this game in a sitting, or is it kind of I get 20 minutes and someone else has to play?
Oh yeah, that's actually a really good question.
Time limits.
We'll probably think about
Have
that.
like timers ring very loudly to pull people out of their meditative states.
Yeah, I'll
Ding!
put it on each
We
computer.
have to have a chime, really, is what it is.
Ooh, a little gong.
A little gong, yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. Oh boy, it seems like I'm really caught in this snowstorm right now. I'm glad our character's got a scarf going on.
But I find it interesting. So the lighting, like any other game, is there. You got the shadow, the lighting as the character moves. You can see the direction of the light source, just as you would in any other game. So it's very interesting seeing these basic touches we now think of as standard in a game. So standard, it wouldn't. If there was a lack of a shadow, you'd be going,
What
what's
happened?
going on?
Oh,
I reached an edge. I went straight into the snowstorm.
okay.
Oh dear.
So the
Oh
conclusion,
yeah, I've actually never done that. That
you
is
perished in the snowstorm.
one of the conclusions. R.I.P. friend. So yeah, there's I kind of did just say I'm going in one direction. I'm gonna keep talking and go in that direction. But there are so many different little environments that you can interact with. There's like I've come across basically the same setup of that like snowstorm, but just a lake. And it was just crossing this very vast lake. It was like the first time I encountered it, and I think I remember Tobias was like, "Wow, you got into that. That's a big lake." And I was like, "You're surprised too, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it was. It's good."
Sean Shepard, I hope you show up at the Experimental Game Showcase so we can smack you for saying this is a pretty chill game.
It is.
It's
Get him out of here.
It's a very chill game.
Now think of that as a VR game, Sean. You can make that one.
Now, a lot of these experiences would be interesting in VR.
Oh yeah, no, I want to see the Catacombs.
Yeah.
one. I want to see that in VR.
Being able to experience these, I would just sit down and just experience these worlds. I don't think I could move through the first experience, though. I would get a
You
little,
have a
little
good
dizzy.
treadmill system hooked up to it, though, for some of these.
Yeah. Oh, also another thing I gotta talk about Tobias. He was actually the person to do the cover art. So this.
Nice.
This whole the posters, all the graphic design. He reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I really like what you're doing. I've always wanted to do that myself. Can we collaborate on this?" And I was like, "I have zero design skills, please." Actually, so did a great job on this. It was exactly what I wanted. I told him that I wanted it to be kind of abstract, kind of chaotic, but still readable. And what he did is, so each individual little sketch that's on this poster is representative of each game.
Ooh.
I
Yeah.
thought it was a map. It looked like one of my early D&D campaign maps.
Yeah. So each little stroke that he did is for a specific game that we
So are
have.
the little dots by the R the snow in the last game that we just watched?
Well, you might have to ask him.
Find out next time.
Oh, we don't have a cheat code for this?
Right.
No cheat code. All right. And looking at time. Oh, cool. Can I show you one more?
Yeah.
One more.
absolutely.
Okay. This is another really good fun one. This one's called Sacramento. This is by an artist named Dziff, out in France.
Of course, the game about Sacramento was made in France. I see.
Yeah.
So
So
no one else would make a game about Sacramento.
yeah, and it is all comprised of watercolor sketches that she made over the years.
I already feel quite tranquil just looking at the title screen. This is. I don't know where we're going, but I want to see what it's like.
Well then, let's step into it. Oh, that's okay. Yeah, this one's got music. Music by Glassbody. I got to meet Glassbody at GDC. This was at the Mild Rumpus 2 years ago, and it was
Flying.
yeah.
It is.
Time's a very
Fickle thing.
yeah, and it's a central theme in this game. So we got off the bus station and go explore the land.
So did you come up with the name Exploration before you chose the games, or did just all the games basically put that name in your head?
I definitely reached out to find games that mainly focused on exploration, because Tobias's game, Close, this one, and like another one, I was like, these are at least the 3 games that I need to showcase. And they all had to deal with exploration, and I am a fan of, walking simulators, just kind of exploratory games. And so I just sought out to find anything else that might go under, the theme of exploration.
Most uniquest, as there seems to be a similar color palette in all of these was there a thematic curation process?
Not regarding color, but it is. I do see it's all nice and soft. It kind of evokes feelings of calmness. It's a coincidence. The colors would be coincidence.
And it's very interesting because games, to a great degree, while we've added all these colors to games, what we used to be able to do, we still kind of have the classic 4-color comic book theme that runs through most adventure games, most fighting games, and so forth. So it is nice to see games that take a different approach.
Mm-hmm. So I have another question too. So a lot of the games visually are experimental and even thematic, like with the goal sometimes. It's not necessarily get to a point, but to explore sometimes. And do you find that some of these games, or any games in the showcase, do anything experimental with, say, the controls or the audio or specific mechanics? Or
yeah. So Entity was, even though it had the WASD, the 2 controls were to like slow down things and then like kind of blur all sorts of stuff together. There's what was another one? There's another one that's going to be at the show, a game called Orchids to Dusk, and that one has a really interesting control scheme where it's you only use your mouse and you click to walk forward. Click both to just kind of go forward, and then you're able to move the camera. So that was a really good example of something that's simple, but he made the controls even simpler. So you don't even need to do WASD or like worry about strafing. It's just I'm going straight, I'm going across, and then you just keep going.
Nice. So did we just teleport back to the train station? Is
yes.
it an idle thing?
Yeah. So one of the main themes around this game was time, like I said, and there's a 5-minute timer on it. Yeah. And whenever Delphine, the developer, talked about this game at the Mild Rumpus, she said that the idea of the game came from a quick train stop in Sacramento when she only had a small amount of time. Like, Sacramento wasn't the end destination, it was just a stop. So they got out and only had just a little bit of time before they had to go back. So that's what this game is kind of about. It's about saying, like, just go, explore, but you're only going to find what you can find in a certain amount of time.
A lot of mindfulness lessons in these games. Explore while you can and enjoy it.
It's like life. Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
All you've got. Yeah.
Well, excellent. So tell us a little bit more about the event. It's going to be when?
November 1st.
Where?
It's a Thursday at the bakery.
Starting at what time?
Starting at 6 o'clock.
PM or
Ends
AM?
at 11.
PM or AM?
PM.
Bands, games, chance to play. Obviously, the bakery will have a bar going as well.
Yeah, they will serve wine and beer.
That's right.
And water. Important.
And the bakery is a place where they try to bake creativity, make it happen.
Ooh.
So that's part of the theme for the place all along. So expect to have your own creative juices flowing out of this one. So this is being put on by yourself. I understand that Wabi Sabi Sound is helping out with it.
Yes, they helped out in sponsoring some of the monetary setbacks. I had a budget for this show, and I blew through it. But it's a passion project, and it's worth every penny to me.
Excellent. And you've been able to reach out to the colleges as well, so...
Yeah. I
let them
reached
know
out
about
to Georgia Tech, Georgia State, SCAD. They're all getting out the information and just kind of trying to rile up some excitement for it. Get as many people as I can out there, so that way we can keep doing these. And I'm very interested in continuing this. Maybe quarterly. We'll have to see.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun.
And there's not an age limit. It's not an 18 and up show or anything like that. So
Nope.
High school kids interested in game dev can show up.
Yeah, please show
Field
up,
trips.
everyone.
Be allowed. All right, great. So any final questions from chat before we sign off? If you want to play the rest of the games, you will have to come to the bakery and check it out. Maybe we'll put links to them in the YouTube video for this when it goes up. But as it stands now, I think we're going with it here. So November 1st at the bakery. Remember, this Saturday, October 20th, we'll be putting on the Georgia Esports League State Championships at Georgia State University. It's free, so meet us in Atlanta. Free. Parking is free as well. November 13th, we'll have the next GGDA Atlanta meeting at Mobile Labs. And there will be a December 11th combined holiday party. So thank you, Super M.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. This was great.
Yeah, thank you, Eric, for bringing these great games and this event to Atlanta.
Thank you for having me, Andrew.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. And support our Patreon.
Yep. Hope to see you at the show.
For sure.
November 1st, 6 o'clock p.m.
PM.
p.m. It's a Thursday.